Anyone 18 and older. Details ahead.
Witnesses testify in the trial against Derrick. I'm Skylar Henry in Minneapolis with the 911 calls reporting the deadly arrest.
And thousands hike to the site of a rare and spectacular volcanic eruption in Iceland.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
As the state of Kansas shifts into its final phase of coronavirus vaccine distribution, the Crawford County Health Department announces a new clinic, one that does not require an appointment. This is KKOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes, a first come, first served clinic at the Crawford County Fairgrounds. The walk-in clinic is open to anyone above the age of 18 and runs from noon to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Now, Crawford County is also hosting an appointment-based clinic tomorrow at the Lincoln Center. And yesterday, Walker Drug in Baxter Springs held a small vaccine clinic. It's something they originally hadn't planned on doing, but chose to after getting calls from people interested in the vaccine. Many other 4-state health departments and pharmacies are planning clinics and offering appointments. You can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Missouri just entered phase 2 of the state's COVID-19 vaccination eligibility plan, and this opened up eligibility to Missourians employed in construction, critical manufacturing, and remaining food sectors. The state is also making the vaccines available to those experiencing homelessness. On April 9th, Missouri will enter phase 3 and join Kansas and Oklahoma, opening up eligibility for all adults in the state. Well, Joplin officials held a briefing yesterday to provide an update on the COVID-19 vaccine and cases in the city. Officials say they've ordered 160,000 doses of the vaccine and expect everyone in the city to have the opportunity to get one by the end of May. They also touched on the city's finances, saying around $200 million in building permits have been filed recently, leading to a lot of construction. Mayor Ryan Stanley says that's a positive sign as the city emerges from the pandemic.
When you're seeing local businesses that have other plants all over the country, maybe even all over the world, where they're getting more output out of their Joplin facilities as they're getting from other places, I think Joplin really has shown our ability to work.
City officials say Joplin is ahead of the state when it comes to vaccinations. 31% of the city's population has received at least their first dose of a vaccine versus an average of 24% statewide. Well, the wind's still blowing, although not quite as strong as yesterday. It's still pretty bad. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Can we let everybody behind the curtain between you and me? So right before we started the show, folks, Tanya looked at me and she said, "Is it raining?" And the reason she asked that question is because I had water running down my shirt. The reason I had to do that, Tanya, was because it's the only way I could part my hair after coming out of the wind outside. And so yes, it did look a little deceiving, the fact that I'm dripping. It's the only way I could get it in place after being outside, though.
Well, I know I'd been inside all morning, but I didn't think it started raining.
This is a great question. Yeah, but this is what happens when you walk outside. You just whoosh, it goes here, there, and everywhere. And here's why. Because the wind tracker, well, it's died down from yesterday. I mean, yesterday was crazy. We were talking about 45 to 50 mile an hour gusts. So while it's died down, it's still coming in at a pretty good clip. This is the important part right here, the dividing line. That's why we're going to see warmer temperatures in the central and southern portions of the 4 states. But where we've already had the shift to the north, well, that means the cold front is setting in. And we see a wide gap in temperatures right now. We've fallen to 50 in Yates Center. Compare that to the 66s that we have in Neosho and Anderson. Now, Joplin, actually one of our clubhouse leaders, though Miami and Grove in there as well, at 67. But that shows you that's why we've topped out pretty much at the noon hour, because the colder temperatures will continue to sag down. As far as our precipitation goes, if we see any of it, it'll be just clipping our far southeastern counties. We're talking about showers, not looking at anything severe. Now, our temperatures cool off with that cold front on Wednesday and Thursday, but look at what happens as we rebound into the Easter weekend. Tanya, coming up here in just a little bit, you look at those temperatures, you go, that's not too bad, right? What if I told you I'm going to break down a freeze watch for you when we come back in weather?
Yeah, something we need to pay attention to. All right, thanks, Michael. The Derrick Chauvin murder and manslaughter trial is into its second day with more witnesses taking the stand. Prosecutors began laying out their case for the jury yesterday, playing cell phone video of the former police officer putting his knee on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. Skylar Henry has the latest from outside the Minneapolis courthouse.
No response.
Donald Williams was first on the witness stand for day 2 of the Derrick Chauvin trial.
He's not even resisting arrest right now, bro.
The former security guard was on the scene when Chauvin was arresting Floyd last May and wiped away tears when prosecutors played his 911 call.
He was unresponsive. He wasn't resisting arrest.
Did call the police on the police.
Right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
You will learn.
In opening statements Monday, prosecutors told the jury Chauvin pinned his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, longer than first reported, and played cell phone video of it in its entirety. Prosecutors also called 3 witnesses, including a police dispatcher who called the police on the police after watching the incident play out in real time on a security camera.
My instincts were telling me that something's wrong.
Here outside the courthouse, there's a constant show of support for George Floyd pretty much around the clock, with signs posted along fencing and this wall of messages here calling for justice.
We'll also see.
Chauvin's defense told the jury Floyd's death was the result of drug abuse and an underlying heart condition, and they defended Chauvin's use of force.
Derrick Chauvin did exactly what he had been trained to do over the course of his 19-year career.
On CBS This Morning, Columbia University law professor Alex Hogue explained why the case is not a slam dunk for the prosecution.
The knee to the neck is an allowable use of force in Minneapolis.
Even so, prosecutors intend to call the Minneapolis chief of police to testify against Chauvin. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
If convicted of second-degree murder, Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison. He faces up to 25 years if convicted of third-degree murder and up to 10 years if convicted of second-degree manslaughter. The same day the trial began for Derrick Chauvin, the Missouri State Senate passed a bill banning police chokeholds. Senators voted 30-4 in favor of the measure. The bill also would allow Kansas City police officers to live up to 30 miles outside the city limits in Missouri. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KKOAM News at noon, we take you to Iceland, where visitors are enjoying a volcano show. And later, we're making bacon and horseradish deviled eggs in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Thousands are hiking to the side of a spectacular volcanic eruption in Iceland to get a close-up glimpse of the rare sight. CBS's Ian Lee joins us with the story.
There's something hypnotic about rivers of lava.
I just can't get enough of it.
Thousands are drawn to the red-hot rocks in this barren corner of Iceland. Some come to witness nature's raw power.
It's just overwhelming to see, Earth forming in this way.
I think it's the best experience in my life.
Others are looking to have a bit of fun on the world's most dangerous volleyball court. While these folks came hungry. But don't pull out the ketchup and mustard yet, says scientist Sarah Barsotti. Is it safe to grill a sausage or hot dog on the lava?
It is not. The lava is really releasing a high amount of gases, even toxic gases.
The last time this volcano spewed lava, there weren't so many spectators 800 years ago. This time, Icelanders knew it was coming. More than 50,000 earthquakes rocked the island nation for weeks leading up to the big show. Scientists hope this eruption will help them predict the next. And they may have quite a while to study it. So how long could it last?
Months. Somebody says years. I think months is a real possible scenario.
Meaning this festival of sound and light will keep drawing a captive audience in the land of fire and ice. Ian Lee, CBS News.
You're actually looking at a live image of the volcano behind me. And while people are making some fun memories with this volcano, You may remember another eruption in Iceland in 2010. That one spewed so much ash in the air that it shut down air travel across much of Europe for nearly a week. Still to come on the KKOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Are you a traditionalist when it comes to deviled eggs? Or do you like to get a bit adventurous? Well, we're getting adventurous. Stick around, I'll show you.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
One of those afternoons where yesterday almost seemed more bearable than today, despite the fact that the winds kind of let up. At least we had sunshine on Monday. Now, for our Tuesday afternoon, we're going to be locked in with mostly cloudy, if not overcast skies. Still can't complain, 66 degrees. But at the same point in time, usually we top out temperature-wise this time of year in between 3 and 4 o'clock. Well, that's probably about as warm as we're going to see there at Joplin Regional Airport. Now, the barometer is on the rise, but it's going to be of little solace because there's a cold front moving through. Our humidity, better than yesterday, which is why the majority of the 4 states is able to escape the red flag warning, but the wind still hasn't let up. It's interesting. We saw that. Those were specifically out of Joplin Regional Airport that we saw the south-southwest winds, because Joplin still enjoying a little warmth right there. Everybody else up into the north, even in northern portion of southwest Missouri, that wind has shifted, and it's making quite a difference temperature-wise. Before we get there, do want to point out that Coffee and Anderson County still in the midst of red flag warnings. Certainly not as expansive as what we had yesterday, but it does last until 6 o'clock, working up to the northwest. And I wanted to point out our elevated fire conditions. We're going to pay attention to this here until we get at least some substantial amount of rain, because I got a feeling this is really going to grow. Almost mirrors our drought monitor right now. But it's important to point out this, especially through central Kansas, went through this a couple years ago if you remember. That's where once a wildfire starts, it can spread and spread just about like that. Back to our wind shift and talking about our cold front, wide variety of temperatures right now. Earlier this morning, everybody was within 3 to 4 degrees of each other. Now, about a 16-degree gap from up to the northwest, where Yates Center sits only at 50, and we still have a slew of very comfortable 66s ranging along and south of I-44 in southwest Missouri. So that's why we'll anticipate those temperatures to continue to drop throughout the course of the afternoon as the wind shifts from south to north. And then overnight, we woke up this morning, temperatures were in the mid-50s. Going to be much, much cooler tomorrow, dropping down into the low 40s. Now, as far as that rain that we're looking at for Wednesday, I'll get out of the way here because it's going to generate down in the southwest. But it's barely going to clip our far southeastern counties. And at the same point in time, we're not looking at anything severe. Of course, a little bit of that may filter up, but it'll stay below I-44 with really most of the accumulation going to be through central and northwest Arkansas. And then by the time we get into Wednesday, late Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, we begin to clear off. Still going to be chilly, though, for our first day of April. The severe thunderstorm risk map have not seen any movement since yesterday. We keep that minimal level, but once again, that's just barely on us. And the nice thing is especially when you range through Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, yeah, we don't like to have them in the low category at all, but it's been much better than the elevated and high categories that they've had to put up with here lately. And everything will really kind of generate Wednesday into Thursday as it approaches the mid-Atlantic. Now, speaking of Thursday, first day of April, right? This is not an April Fool's Day joke. If you got plants outside, if you got vegetation, you need to cover it Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're going to start April with a freeze watch that's going to last until 9 a.m. And like I said, this is not in effect right now. But I want to jump on this because I know spring, everybody's getting the plants gardened. It's been really nice out. It's been warm out. So let's protect the vegetation that you have, whether it be bringing it inside or bagging it up. And once again, that is not for tonight. That's for Wednesday night into Thursday morning.
Wow.
I know. I just wanted to.
It's been nice and warm, so it's kind of
deceiving.
Kind of a shock that it's coming, but hey.
I just want everybody to jump on it early and not be caught off guard there on Wednesday.
Remember Phil? He told us we had 6 more weeks of winter.
delightful looking Easter.
That's right. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Savannah Cotton in the U.S. Army. The soldier hails from Baxter Springs, Kansas. She joined the 18th Medical Command Unit in 2006, serving a tour in South Korea. To Sergeant Savannah Cotton, we thank you, our four-state hero. Today's recipe is sure to be a party pleaser. Howard shows us how to make his bacon and horseradish deviled eggs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Hey, I have a question for you. Do you love deviled eggs? And if you do, are you a traditionalist when it comes to the filling, or do you like to get a bit adventurous? Either way, let me show you how to make the best hard-boiled eggs. And from there, I'll show you how to turn them into the best deviled eggs you've ever tasted. To make the perfect hard-boiled egg, all we do is place them in a saucepan in a single layer and cover them with cold water. After this comes to a boil, we cover it, take them off the heat, and let them sit for 12 minutes or so. Now we carefully drain them and run cold water over them. I like to even add some ice to really shock them, which makes them way easier to peel. We found the best way to peel them was to tap the fat end of the egg on the counter. After the whole egg has fine cracks, the shell should easily slip off. That's all there is to it. A perfect hard-boiled egg that's ready to eat as is, or to turn into a tasty deviled egg. Here we took our yolks and mixed them with some mayo. But instead of stopping there, we added some ground horseradish, which is very trendy right now, along with some smoky bacon. The recipe for our bacon and horseradish deviled eggs is online now and would be a nice addition to your holiday table. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a devilishly good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Temperatures are pretty much topped out here at the noon hours. The cold front creeps across the central four states and drops down to the southeast. Not going to be too worried about that rain. You're going to have to be way south of I-44, and if you do get any, it's nothing severe. Cooler temps for Wednesday and Thursday as we're dropped into the 50s. Tanya and Dow.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5, Dow?
A lot coming up at 5. For starters, Sir Richard Branson and his company Virgin Galactic unveiled their latest spacecraft, the VSS Imagine, designed for space tourists. We're going to learn more about the future of space travel. Plus, an investigation into missing or murdered cats in a Joplin neighborhood after residents receive a letter with a warning. And Carl Junction Schools ask voters to approve a $7 million school bond for safety and security improvements. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up on KOAM News at 5, Tanya.
All right. Thanks, Dow. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.